These are the sexual beginnings of human life. A transparent fetal body, alive within the universe of a mother's womb, wired forever to a prodigiously growing brain that even now ordains this life to be male or female, either gender woman or gender man. A sexual being, unique and never to be repeated, conceived only days ago with explosive force. The mysteries of human sexuality are now explored with a never-before possible candor.
When it comes to sex, they're both pretty inhibited.
We're going to have to establish this by getting into what their sexual life was at the beginning of the marriage.
Bringing hope to a sexually desolate marriage.
Any sex is a matter of desire, and I have no desire.
I feel that someone in my life has no sex drive.
Understanding the origins of sexual desire and revealing the secret attractions that bind male and female cast a new light on how we perceive ourselves.
And what we're really asking you to do here is to take turns touching.
Human sexuality. Two human bodies in love. The chemistry, flesh and blood, under the command of a master control. A mating control buried within the most primitive recesses of the mind, the seat of all human passion, an oval region of the brain known as the limbic ring, captured in this historic computer-enhanced image. The ring steers the sex drive via an ingenious dual guidance system. Along an upper rim, ecstasy zones, intimately wired to 200 billion brain and body inputs, so that pleasurable ideas and sensations can trigger arousal. But nearby, on the lower rim, rage relays set off by anger, which can short-circuit sexual desire in the split of an instant. Anger and hate, love and pleasure, scarcely a hair's breadth apart. And when the signals are love, the ring fires secret chemical codes down the spinal column to relay centers on the rungs of the spine, where minute living nerve computers translate a mind's emotion into a body's passion. Arousal in a man, receptivity in a woman. And astonishingly, none more deceptively sensual than the primitive power of smell. Nasal tissue under extreme magnification, so erotic it actually swells, grows erect when you are sexually aroused. The only organ directly nerve-wired to the limbic ring. Over 100 million sensitive smell antennae at the back of the nose chemically gauge sex appeal by subtle body odors. And, surprisingly, skin smell cues largely influence your selection of a mate. Yet passion is so delicately fragile. And for this troubled man and woman, sexuality has vanished altogether.
I feel that someone in my life has no sex drive. We either have it or we don't. I don't have it at times and not at other times. I think I always have it. And there's a partner of mine who never has it.
I don't know what I can do.
Rick and Eileen, not actors, but husband and wife from Los Angeles, California.
We're both stubborn, so neither of us give in. My giving in amounts to being quiet and allowing her to go on and on and on, and I'll be quiet for 24 hours or more.
Do you ever have sexual desires toward her?
No.
Never.
No.
The crisis.
What are you making for dinner?
Beyond the pale of normal marital strife,
Everything you don't like. Just like a good wife.
Rick and Eileen no longer engage in sexual intercourse.
Vegetables.
I'm not cheating. I got 6 cards up. I hardly even started the deck already.
Okay, if you're ready, I'm going to put it in the oven.
Would you need some help?
Two people
Thank you.
entrapped in a game of sexual suffocation.
Do that. A lot of people can look at chaos all around them and ignore it.
But well, wait a second. You're talking about relative things again. It isn't chaos at all. If
It's sticking your head in the sand.
I talk about it in terms of being desperate,
But
and doing what and leaving because I couldn't think of any other alternative. But
Isn't
if-
that a bit of a crisis? You didn't handle it well
was,
at all.
and I didn't come to you either. But then again, you were my problem. I
Well, then why
wasn't
didn't you go to
in.
someone else? Why didn't you? When you did go to someone else, they didn't help you.
Who did I go to?
When you went to Nashville
There may
and
have
had
been
dinner
some-
with a nice-looking 22-year-old girl, didn't you tell her that you were
She was
having
only
problems?
20.
You were confiding in her, and she found a way to help you.
I think that's a big problem that you have that you may not be able to get over.
No, I never want to forget it. I hope someday I can forgive it and live with it, but I never want to forget it.
New York City,
We're going to 79th and Park.
a drastic measure, a 3,000-mile journey to seek psychiatric help. The last-ditch hope, a 2-week program of clinical sex therapy.
With me, he said pretty much that sex was very normal and so forth.
Under the care of psychosexual experts, the preliminary diagnosis. Although Rick is physically capable of sex, anger and resentment have short-circuited his desire.
Masturbated since marriage.
The dual counseling team, Dr. John O'Connor, Assistant Professor of Clinical Psychiatry, Columbia University, Dagmar O'Connor, Director of Sex Therapy, the Roosevelt Hospital.
Well, I think they're both angry and both very hurt. And I think it's very important to deal with this, to be able to go on.
You're about to witness no-holds-barred sex therapy. For Rick and Eileen, a court of last resort.
When you were actually having sex, or having intercourse, or your whole sex life, how was it?
Terrific.
It was wonderful.
As soon as you got started, there was no problem.
That's right. There was no problem. And I was uninhibited. There wasn't any problem. It
Never
was
had a problem.
wonderful.
You had orgasms,
Yes.
and
Or else I probably wouldn't care.
Analysis is like a courtroom. Initially, the therapists hear what, in effect, are opening arguments.
Well, right now is a long time. It started years ago.
Eileen pleads
I
innocent.
could live with it up until the last 5 years. I don't want to live with it anymore.
how often do you have sex?
We haven't had sex that long.
Since when?
I guess you might say August 1974, when we bought our house.
I think of things in terms of chronological events, I guess, because there were 3 periods of our relationship. One was at the time when we got married and up to the time that Vicky came, our daughter.
Life changes are landmarks in sexual histories. And such was the case with Rick.
I left home 10 months after Vicky was born. And when Vicky was 10 months, I left and I was away from home for 8 months. I was at a desperate point in my life. I was not as angry as I had been, but anger had a lot to do with it. I never considered suicide. But when I say desperate, I mean a complete 180-degree turnaround. Walk away, leave, too many problems.
A classic case of impotence. A first baby, and a wife becomes mother figure instead of a romantic symbol.
There was no point in time when I said...
Normally, the problem is only temporary. But Rick was frightened, saw Eileen as his mother, and has been sexually running away for 7 years.
Saying no.
So it's leaving you pretty angry and hurt.
Oh, yes. I think about it. I can't watch a story that's similar to me on television without looking at him with gritting my teeth and saying, there, that's you. Watch it, that's you.